I'm Kapila Venu. I'm a Kutiyattam practitioner from Kerala. Kutiyattam is a theatre and storytelling tradition practiced in the southern state of Kerala in India. And it has a very long legacy, a long history. And so, having gone through such a long, transmission and practice, it has an acting technique that is very stylized, very sophisticated, and that has been polished and polished and polished over these generations. I am a person who's very, very convinced that Kutiyattam has been through a lot of change. Especially if you look at Kutiyattam in the last few decades, there has been a very big change in the history historically because India went through independence. Temples and art forms went through stages of revival and rejuvenation in their own timings. And Kutiyattam also went through that phase when we went through this huge revolution where the masters opened their doors to children of all communities to come and study the art. So we work with the 9 basic emotions first, and we start with exploring the 9 emotions by sensitizing all the 5 senses of the body. So the senses, activating the senses and manipulating the breath is fundamental to this training. So how do you sensitize your 5 senses? The vision, the hearing, the skin, the taste, and the smell. Each emotion has a certain way of manipulating the breath that helps to invoke it. But at the same time, it's not a mechanical technique. We always believe to be completely involved in the emotion. Teaching contemporary theatre practitioners, that is, theatre practitioners outside of our own form, started at ITI for us. So even for my father, I think that was his first serious, decision to interact with contemporary theatre practitioners. So our work at ITI has created a model which we have been able to use even in the National Theatre School in India. What we find very, very important at ITI is the rigor and the discipline of the students. Like, it is not easy to find that in all theatre schools. And the faculty meets very regularly to discuss each student's progress and difficulties and things like that. It may seem small, but it's not common. The Natya Shastra and other treatises on classical theatre traditions have a lot of information on actor training that we have stopped exploring in general. Kutiyattam can and may not help every actor. Kutiyattam brings to the training is, one, this technique of invoking emotion and being in touch with one's emotionality and exploring its various possibilities and how to use, it's a technique that has come down through a long lineage. Then also many other things like the use of the eyes is very unique to Kutiyattam. And we have this very vast language of gesture and also very, very unique way of using the voice. The aim, or let's say the aspiration of an actor's body in Kutiyattam is to create a strong presence. By strong, doesn't mean it always has to have a high intensity, but exploring various intensities. So that creating that presence of the actor's body, and very specifically to Kutiyattam, the actor's body is not an acrobatic body. It's a body that needs to learn how to be very still and present, but invisible in the sense it's a body that holds the gesture, because for us the gesture is the main language. Translation is a very important thing while teaching a form that is very culture specific. in a space that is very intercultural. I noticed that every time I needed to translate a word from Malayalam or Sanskrit or Tamil, I had to think deeply and not just find a replacement in English. My father again introduced this exercise where he felt like the text that we're working with, the students, needs to be translated into their thinking language, which most often is their mother tongue, and also to reproduce it in their own with their own interpretation, the same story but from their own cultural perspective. My father, from his very younger days, I think, as an art practitioner and a scholar, his practice has always been intercultural and intracultural. That is his general approach. I think as a person, he believes that for traditions or for practices to evolve, one needs to meet other practices.